So it's Thursday, the 29th of June, 2017, and this is Catching Up with KJ, episode number 72. And today we're going to be talking with Sean from SGTREPORT. I'm still waiting on us to get connected over on Skype so I can give him a link over here to the show. So we'll wait here for a little bit in silence and just make it really awkward and weird, starting right now. Just kidding. Let me jump over here to the chat real quick and see how you guys are doing. Hope everyone's doing well on this Thursday afternoon. Let's see, man. Cool. We already got a lot of people flooding in. Hi, guys. How we doing? Juan, what's up? Behold the truth. Ricardo, hi there. Hello, everybody. V3 Sago. I think that's how you say it. Or is it Visago? Hope everyone's well. Hope you're having a good day. I also want to say thanks for the 300,000 subs. I just crossed that threshold just a few days ago. I need to make a video saying thanks about that. I'm in the middle of two bigger videos I'm going to put up on the channel, but I need to take some time and do that. I've done that at each, the 100,000, 200,000, and of course now 300,000. And this one was tougher to get than the 200,000. The 100,000 actually. Oh, hold on one second. Let's see what we got here. Hey, Sean, are you there? Hey, I'm good. Let me turn up my volume a little bit. You sound pretty far away. Yeah, what I'm going to do is this. In fact, let me go ahead and it'll be probably clearer if I put the link over there in our Skype for you. Is that cool? And then you click that and can come right in. If you don't mind, and then I'll do that, and it'll come in a lot better. I'm putting the link over there right now, and I'll talk to you in just a second. Okay, guys, hang tight. I just got a call from Sean, so we're going to bring him in. Let me give him the link here, and then we'll bring him in here. So thanks for your patience. It's open here, so just give me a second. And we'll get this party started. Know what I mean? All right, there we go. Okay, so let's put the link in there and try that. See how that works. So there's the link. And we'll see how that works. Hang in there, guys. We'll be there in just a second. Just let's sit around awkwardly in silence and make it weird. Maybe not. Okay, so the link's up and he should be popping in any second. So let me just make sure that's all good there. Jump back to the chat. Hi, Danielle. Miss Lambikins, how you doing? Linda Hippie, Justin Stamper, Pootie Tang, Anti-NWO Canada, thanks for being here. One of my mods as well. All right, let's see. I don't know if this works or not. He's trying to call. Hey. What? No way. Let me see if they can hear me in the chat or hear you, because I don't know how this works. Maybe they can hear you. Hey, guys, in the chat room, can y'all let us know? Can you hear Sean very well? Is he coming through okay? Let me see what they say. Some are saying there's no sound. Oh, okay. Yeah, they can't hear us right now. Dang, man, that sucks. So, I mean, is it something that could be fixed in like 10 minutes or 20 minutes or anything like that? Or darn. Okay, cool. Let me try that. Let me do it right now. And hey, guys, it looks like you can hear me, but not Sean. We're talking right now. He's having some issues with his the computer setup and everything. So hang tight. We're going to try something else here real quick and see if this works. And just give us a second, okay? And thanks for being here, guys, once again. Hang tough, all right? You know, this is the way the show goes. I've never claimed to be a professional at all this, so there's usually some kind of technical glitches here and there. And we'll get this figured out, all right? And if not, then... Okay, there we go. Can you hear me now? Okay, cool. All right, so let me jump here into the email and try this real quick. Just and we'll do that. Thanks for waiting over there, guys. Thanks for being patient. See if this works out for it. Try this. Be sent over to you in just a second. Yeah. There we go. Let's see how this works. Okay. All right. So I just sent it. I think it went through. Let's see. Okay, cool. Okay. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the Skype's open right now.
Says live.
Says live. Okay, let me see what happens here. Okay, yeah, you might want to turn the volume down in the back, and then let's see if can you guys hear us now?
Hmm. Sorry, hold on.
No, that's okay.
We're going to get feedback, I think, if both Skype and this Google Hangouts are open. Unfortunately, I record via Skype.
Oh, really?
Can you record it on your end?
No, I've never done that. I just do the Google Hangout, and then it uploads immediately, you know, to the channel. I could always give you this video, though, afterwards, like the interview, if you want to upload it on your channel.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, so if you hang up the phone line, then just stay on the Google. That'll probably fix the problem.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. And now the key is the audience. Can you guys hear us both now without all the echo and background?
Yes. Can you guys hear me?
Does it sounds okay, guys?
All right.
Pretty much. Okay, cool. I think we're there. All right, guys, good. We got it fixed, man. Thanks for hanging in there with us, folks. You know, this happens from time to time around here. And I don't think it was the Illuminati getting involved either. It's just, it's technical stuff. You know what I mean? Technical stuff. Regardless, though, man, Sean, it's really nice to finally meet you, man. I've been subbed to you for a very, very long time. And I mean, you've been on YouTube longer than I have. You've been on for like 10 years, right?
No. Probably around I think around I think I opened my YouTube channel around 2000 and, well, I think it probably technically says 2007, but I didn't post my first video till like late 2009, 2010.
Oh, so, okay.
And yeah, when'd you get on?
Well, mine was about 2011 is when I really started, and then you know, just grew from there. I recently went back and was looking at some of my earlier videos, and some of them I was just shaking my head. I don't know if you ever do that. I was like, oy vey. I can't believe I did that. You know what I mean? Yeah. But it's, you know, we grow and we learn, and, you know, we get better at this stuff. And, you know, that's another thing I've liked about you is you cover some subjects that I never really get into, like the monetary systems and precious metals and stuff like that as well.
Yeah.
And so, you know, before we get into all the subjects and all this, I really just want to get to know you some, man, because we never really had a chance to talk. We're probably seen in some of the same circles a lot here on YouTube, of course, because we cover some similar material. But, you know, tell me about yourself, man. Tell us about you. I mean, how'd you get started? Why did you care enough to even build a channel and talk about the kind of things you talk about? How'd that get started?
Well, first, let me ask you this. So you kind of flipped the script on me, brother, because I had invited you on to interview you, and now we're live on your channel and you're interviewing me, which I'm happy to do. But this is, I'm not sure how I can post this on my channel. So why don't we do this? Are you going to be able to give me this audio file when we're done?
Yeah, I mean, what happens is, like, I just did a show the other day with Unplug Him, and I showed him how he can download the video for himself, like the whole
Oh,
show,
no,
and
I
then
know
he
how to do
uploads it.
that. So you're just going to post this whole
Okay.
thing? Okay.
Yeah, I just post the whole thing up on the channel. Then you can take it and upload it if that's cool.
Sure.
And yeah, I remember you reaching out. I'm sorry about that. In fact, today will be more of just a dialogue between the two of us. We'll just chat. You know what I mean?
Right.
And if you have questions for me, that's cool too. We'll just go back and forth. And I'm really, I'm not the greatest at getting involved with interviews. I've been asked a lot throughout the years to do it, and shied away from it. I don't think it's the control thing, because I do like to do shows and talk to people and stuff, but I don't know. Like, even Hagman and Hagman has, they've been asking me for over a year, and some other people too. And I shuffle my feet away from it. I guess I'm always on this balancing thing with my work and what I do online and stuff, because I kind of always want to stay a little bit underground, I guess, to a degree.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Understand. Yeah, I absolutely totally understand. And you just passed what, 300,000 subscribers. So I mean, you're I'm not going to say you're going to be a target, for those that want to point fingers at what they call fake news, but I know I am.
Yeah.
And so you've got 100,000, 110,000 more subscribers than I do. So I'm sure you're on that same radar. Did you see that Washington Post article that came out and listed the litany of sites? Maybe it was actually Wall Street Journal.
Yeah. In fact, that's something we'll just kind of roll with our conversation and see where
Yeah,
it takes us.
SGT report was on there. And now it's very, it's clear as day for anybody paying attention that the real fake news is coming from the CIA, CNN, Mockingbird mainstream media. That's where it's coming from. And, of course, Project Veritas just did the excellent expose proving that not even senior producers of CNN believe that Russia had anything to do with the election. It's just talking points for CNN. Their ratings are high because of it among the dumbed down liberals. And they're just happy as fat cats, rolling in their own, whatever fat cats roll in, I guess, dough, right? Because they're making money hand over fist because their ratings are high because of this BS Russian hacking meme. And that's all it is total fake news. And now everybody in the world with a pulse knows it. And I've been screaming from the rooftops that's what it is. And now because of the Project Veritas expose, we have it in CNN's own producers' words. It's BS. There's no smoking gun proof. It's just nonsense, man. And it's the epitome of tyranny and fascism, right? This corporate oligarchy aligned against the people and against the president, the deep state.
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating how all this stuff's coming out. I equate it to, what I call, it's the age of Aquarius, the last age of man. So that's fourth age stuff, and all these old constructs are falling away, like mainstream media and even movies. Spielberg and gosh, the guy that made Star Wars, I forget his name now, but those guys did an interview a while back talking about how film industry is completely collapsing. It'll never be the same again. I mean, everything. Even religion, a lot of religions are collapsing in on themselves, where people are gaining real faith and following Christ and stuff. You also see a lot of religions falling away. So we're in that time, and it is amazing to me how much it's just coming out right in front of people's faces. I was at my mom and dad's the other day, and they had CNN on the background, watching it in one of the rooms. And I'm like, guys, what are you doing? I was like, you can't believe 98% of the stuff coming out of these fools' mouths. You know what I mean? You guys see, and I hate, that's when you start getting into those debates with people that are still kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. It's no knock on my family, but, they're just religious folk. They're good people, salt of the earth. They don't think much about all this kind of stuff and don't get deep. And I try to stay away from the left-right paradigm stuff myself, but it's hard not to get sucked back in when everybody else around you is into it and trapped by it.
Yeah, well, you said they don't think much about this stuff, and the problem is most folks in this country just don't think, or like you said, they identify with their team. I'm on the left, I'm on the right. But I think more and more people are waking up from the crimes of the political elite, exemplified by the crimes of the DNC and the GOP, because those of us that were Ron Paul supporters saw exactly what the GOP did to Ron Paul in 2012. it's exactly what they did to Bernie Sanders, what the DNC did to Bernie Sanders here. So that woke up a whole bunch of people on the left to really the crimes of the DNC, just like the crimes of the GOP were laid bare for me back in 2012. And I think people are really, I keep saying, KJ, I think we're about to hit hey, people are saying hello in there. Malav, how are you? But I think we're about to reach a tipping point. Because, you know, once the genie's out of the bottle, you can't put it back in. And people are starting to see the deep state apparatus, the same apparatus that's parroting all the lies about, you know, the Russians hacking and Putin and all that BS. These are the same. It's the same entity trying to take down Trump.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you too, because you've covered this subject a lot on Trump, and I've had a lot of people ask me about it, and I've done little things here and there, but, you know, my attitude towards Trump is, first off, and I've said this in a show in the past, that, you know, when he won, I mean, it blew my mind, because, you know, this is why I'm glad I don't put out videos sometimes, you know, trying to say this is going to happen in the future, guys, because, you know, I would have been totally wrong. I had no idea that he was going to get it. Seriously, it blindsided me. And when he did, I felt better. Now, you know, I know it's Coke and Pepsi to a degree, but still, I felt better because we know what we're dealing with Clinton. She is definitely a witch, like a real witch. This is an evil person. And she just would have continued Obama's policies, if not times 10,000, right? So it would have gotten really ugly. And I remember her doing a talk a while back saying that what we really need are these political camps to put people in so they can discuss their ideologies. I'm like, oh my gosh, of course, you know, this is the kind of stuff that witch would say. So then we get Trump, you know, who seems like an outsider, and a lot of people were making videos on him and all this, and, you know, there's some symbolism attached to him, sure, but, you know, we're in a world where all that stuff's being revealed, and a lot of these people don't even realize what they're putting up. I'm not saying Trump doesn't, but I don't know. There are some interesting things around him, but my attitude was always this, you know, he's certainly no angel, and God can use even the most wicked people in the world for whatever work he wants to do. So, you know, that was my take on it. And I follow a little bit of the politics and a little bit of the stuff he does. In fact, I know the travel ban goes into effect today, right?
Yeah, I believe so. And I'm kind of glad the Supreme Court backed him up on that, because, look, we hear all day long about how we need to give up our liberties to protect ourselves from terrorists. And then the DNC, the people on the left are going to be outraged because Trump says, hey, a lot of these potential terrorists are coming from these specific countries. Maybe we better slow the flow and really ID these people before we allow them in. And that's crazy. I mean, I don't know, man. It's very Orwellian the way they flipped the script on absolutely everything, you know? And
man, really, it is. I mean, because
they want it both ways. They want it both ways. Give up your liberties and yet keep your borders wide open. We're going to protect you from terrorism, but keep your borders wide open. It's ridiculous.
It is, because on one hand, there's the Islamophobia that they put out there. I mean, like this last 24 series, again, it's the, you know, Islamophobia stuff, you know, the terrorists are coming to get us and all this. And we see that whole narrative in play. And of course, they blamed, you know, Islam to a lot of degrees on 9/11. We know that was bogus. And so we see this stuff, but there really is a danger. I mean, look at what's happening in Europe, you know, with all the people flooding the borders and whatnot, and all the crime and things like this. And
well, it's out of the Soros playbook, right? This is all part of the New World Order playbook. They want to destroy the Western nations. I mean, it's sort of this clash of civilizations. You know, we don't have to get into the whole Zionist thing, but I mean, that's exactly what Soros is, you know, and that's what a lot of the bad guys are in our own government, including, you know, Lindsey Graham, for instance, and John McCain. And, you know, there is a duality happening here in our political sphere that does not serve the American people. So for Trump to get up and say, here's some of the things we should do, we should put America first, and for him to be maligned endlessly for that should tell people a lot. And I just want to say one thing about Trump. Like, I'm not an on the bandwagon, no matter what he does, you know, he's going to save us guy as it pertains to Trump. But I had a conversation with independent journalist Liz Crokin recently, and I asked her about the alleged stories that Trump was ever on Jeffrey Epstein's Lolita Express airplane. I've heard people say it.
Yeah.
She says she tried to vet that out, and she has found no evidence suggesting he was ever on an airplane that was owned by Jeff Epstein, or that he ever went to that island, which we know Hillary Clinton went to, and her husband went to more than a dozen times, like 24 times. And Jeffrey Epstein, for those who don't know, is a convicted sex offender, a child sex offender. So that's what's up, right? People need to understand that there is a narrative to destroy Trump. And I think, again, that Project Veritas story was very important, where they went undercover and they have one of these senior producers at CNN saying, hey, this is all about ratings. This whole Trump, Russians hacked the election. There's no fire here. There's no smoking gun. It's for ratings. I think it's very important because, as Liz Crokin and I discussed, do you think for 1 second, if the deep state apparatus exemplified by CNN didn't have the goods on Trump, if they didn't have him, I don't know, cheating on his wife, sleeping with prostitutes, molesting children, if they had, what I'm trying to say is, if they did have something on him, do you think that we wouldn't have heard about that 24/7 from CNN?
Absolutely.
They don't have anything on him.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got a really liberal. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm getting some feedback. I don't know if it's on my end or. Oh, there, yeah, I think you caught it. I've got this real liberal friend out here back in the States, and I moved back here in December from Central America, and I've been reacquainted with some of my older friends. And this is a good example of how fake news works. This girl will go to her grave believing that Trump really was in a hotel room with a bunch of prostitutes pee-peeing on him in Russia, because that was one of those dumb stories that came out from CNN. And to this day, she's still convinced it happened.
Right.
And I'm like, have you even looked into this? Have you even tried to, vet this for yourself? Well, they've talked about it enough on CNN, and I've seen it there, and it's like, so that's why it really upsets me. This is one reason I broke free from politics a long time ago. I kind of have my own niches I get into a lot of the time because it would infuriate me. I was active duty military 8 years. I was a hardcore Republican. Fox News was the only truth for me for years. I mean, I was in that mindset for a long time. And then it was just researching Bohemian Grove and some of that stuff and looking more into the Bush family and all the weirdness with them that kind of broke me free from that kind of mindset. But yeah, it's absolutely incredible. Where do you think this is going to go, though, man? I mean, how much longer? Because I remember Obama actually bailed out MSNBC a few times. Like, they got some government money just to keep running. I don't know if you remember those stories or not, because their viewership's just dying away, so they're being propped up as if they're still important. Rachel Maddow, all these people. But where is this going, man? Will we ever see like a full collapse of those people, that voice out there? What do you think is going to happen with these people?
Oh, probably not. They'll be propped up, if not by Soros and other deep-pocketed, trillionaires, Rothschilds, whatever, Rockefeller money, CFR money. I mean, you'll note that a lot of these people that spew these talking points and read teleprompters are highly paid multimillionaires. What do you think Anderson Cooper makes? What do you think Wolf Blitzer makes? And they're, a lot of these people, Aaron Burnett over at MSNBC, excuse me, previously CNBC, CFR member, a lot of these people in media that are highly paid to read these talking points to you, to all of us on a nightly, daily basis, are CFR members, right? So yeah. I think they'll just be propped up. And by the way, since it's all one big incestuous, corporatocracy anyway, CNN never seems to have a shortage of pharmaceutical ads. If you notice that, so it's literally, I think CNN's ratings could drop to about 100,000, per day, less than a YouTube channel, and they'd still get these highly paid pharmaceutical ads for Humira, which may cause new or worsening forms of heart failure. In its own, 30-second spiel during the 60-second commercial, 30 seconds of it is about how it may cause lymphoma or rare forms of cancer. I'm not making that up. So
no, that's absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, they'll continue to get these big pharma ads to help fund their network, because their network exemplifies the deep state, and
we really are. Yeah, we really are. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you go.
I'm sorry. I was just going to add in there with you that we really are so far along in the New World Order's, depopulation agendas and whatnot. Just like you said, the connection with CNN, major broadcasters pushing these pills that are just going to make you worse. And I'd said on a show way back when I lived down in Central America, I had a girlfriend that's from down there, and of America, because there's only a couple channels I had down there that were from Miami, Florida. I'd watch sometimes, and first off, the news, of course, you'd get from there, it's all violence and bloodshed and cops killing innocent people and, kids shooting in schools. But the commercials, I've never seen so many commercials for diabetes. You know, is all these diabetes commercials, and then of course commercials in between that pushing sugar right into your home, you know, or fast food and stuff. So this whole agenda is being played out so heavily right now. And I think a lot of people get so down, they don't realize that, you know, we're actually doing a lot of good as well, like the so-called alternative media or voices like me and you and other people out there as well, that we're making some headway, man. I mean, this is why a lot of us, our numbers are slowly starting to come up now, you know, because people are turning to news sources for the media. In fact, I was going to ask you, and I thought this was interesting. I think you'd mentioned that YouTube reached out to you to come visit with them or something. I don't know if you want to talk about that.
Yeah, I was invited to go to New York City. Let me open my calendar and tell you exactly what day. I think it was last Tuesday was the day I was supposed to be there. And after giving it some thought and talking it over with my wife, but literally I'd already made my decision within, you know, half hour of getting the invite, I decided not to go. You know, and it was going to be a media learning opportunity, right? A YouTube media learning opportunity. And among some of the attendees, I was told, and there were only like 21 or 22 total attendees, so it was going to be very small. But among them, I think, if memory serves, my YouTube contact told me one might be David Pakman, who's really kind of a, he's an alt media YouTube journalist, but he's really a lefty. And then I think she said somebody from Breitbart would be there. But otherwise, it was mostly channels I was not familiar with. I mean, it wasn't even Young Turks and it wasn't even other news channels on YouTube that I am familiar with. It was a bunch that I wasn't. And I just thought, you know what, there's no upside for this for me personally, other than an ego stroking. And if I'm going to have my ego stroked, then I'm going for the wrong reason. So I decided to not go.
Yeah, and you know, you talk about trolls. I mean, if you would have, no doubt you would have had tons of people. He's been compromised, you know, he's one of them now. I'm sure that would have come along too.
Yeah, maybe. I thought I could just document the whole thing, but you know, I, like you, like to have a little bit of not so much anonymity, but privacy. So I've never really appeared in any of my interviews or videos because I didn't, from day one, I didn't want it to be about me. I didn't want it to become cult of personality, because everybody on planet Earth, you know, probably even if you're a Buddhist monk, has an ego. So if you start to get traction on YouTube and, you know, your brand and your reporting starts to become, you know, kind of, well, it's like we all know who Mark Dice is. And I think Mark Dice has done a very good job remaining consistent. I don't know that he has necessarily an overall inflated sense of self, but I just didn't get into it for that. So I've always decided to remain on the sidelines in terms of who I am, what I look like, and that kind of stuff. And I just thought, you know what, going to YouTube in New York City is contrary to that. So why go?
Yeah, that would have, definitely. That's interesting too. They had reached out to you. I have a friend on YouTube, and this is a couple of years ago. She told me about this, and she's not a big channel or anything, but she was asked to go do some kind of a YouTube thing as well, and she actually went. And I was trying to get information out of her, and she said she had to sign all these non-disclosure agreements. Right. And I was like, well, come on, it's me and you. You know, you can kind of tell me some stuff or whatever, but she didn't leak a lot to me, but she said that it was pretty freaky, the stuff they were saying, and basically had to do with coming censorship and stuff like this on YouTube for channels like mine, you know, she said. So this is a couple years ago. So obviously they went there and they were probably talking about trying to cull the herd a little bit, you know, maybe get rid of some of these alternative voices or weirder channels, I guess, like mine, or, you know, whatever, anybody covering any kind of truth out there. And that was the beginning of it. And I never saw anything come into play until just, of course, this last year. And they, of course, really kicked in the censorship, and not just the adpocalypse, but everything else that goes with it. It seems like that stuff's clearing away a little bit, though. I've noticed even on my channel, like over the last month or so, it feels like my videos are actually getting their views back, and people are actually, you know, that are subbed are actually seeing the videos again. And, you know, I hope that's a good sign. I don't ever put all my faith in YouTube. I've been a partner with them for like 6 years or whatever, and I still don't have a check mark next to my channel name, you know? Right. So some kind of a list, I guess. But my hopes there, my whole thing has never been just about the money and all that. It's been about the reach. You know, if I'm going to put work into this stuff and I'm going to have people sub to me, I want them to see my videos. It's pretty simple, you know? Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, you've got a perspective.
It seems like it's turning around.
Yeah, you have a point of view that you want to share. And I mean, that's the coolest thing about YouTube, is that, you know, anybody with a point of view that others believe is correct or spot on or resonates with them can over time build an audience. And so they look to you for that consistency. You know, what is it that made them like your channel in the first place? You know, are you being true to, you know, where you know, whatever your mandate was from day one, have you remained true to that? Like I've always said that for me, the biggest litmus test, and it's not the only litmus test, but the biggest litmus test to identify if people on YouTube who say they're truthers or alt media whatevers, if they really are, then they're going to be able to break down 9/11 for you, explain what a false flag is, and talk about some of the anomalies of 9/11 that run completely contrary to the official story. If somebody can do that, then, you know, I'll give you more of my time, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, definitely. 9/11's one of those subjects that if people can't get beyond that, then there's no reason to trying to discuss all this other stuff, Illuminati and everything else with them. And I noticed, even speaking of that, you did an interview recently with Dan Dix.
Yeah, I just posted that this morning. Yeah.
Yeah, I watched that. I really like him too. I was into him years ago. He's been on YouTube for a long time too. And he's done a lot of great work. He's even gone to Bohemian Grove and stuff like this and like watched the people going in and all that, right?
Yep.
Or Bilderberg. Yeah, Bilderberg.
Yeah, his channel is called Weaving Spider, but people would know him as the Press for Truth guy because that's really the name. He should have changed his YouTube channel name by now to Press for Truth, because that's what his videos are. They always start with the Press for Truth graphic. And I like Dan. I've followed Dan for a long time too. And we, of course, talked about that LGBT agenda in the Vancouver Pride event that he went and covered. And this whole insidious agenda that I think is a New World Order agenda, just to destroy language and to destroy Christian norms and societal norms, is what we really talked about in that interview, because Canada is in the process of making it a law that there will be criminal penalties if you don't call somebody by their chosen pronoun. So if you accidentally call a he a she, or she's identifying as a he, and you call him a her, you're going to go to jail. And I'm not making that up. It's absolutely off the hook. 1984. Orwell himself couldn't have made it up.
I wanted to ask you about that, and I believe you're in Canada, I think. I'm not sure, and if you don't feel
No,
like
I'm a Minnesota boy.
But
nope, I'm in the Midwest.
Oh, are you?
Yep.
Okay, right on, man. I suddenly like you better. Just kidding, Canadians. Just kidding. But you know, we as Americans got to stick together. But I don't know if you wanted to discuss Bill C-16 and Bill 89, I think was what y'all were talking about. You want to tell the people a bit about that, or?
Yeah, well, I mean, C-16, I believe, is the one that will make it illegal to call somebody by the wrong pronoun. And so it's all about the majority sacrificing liberties, in this case, free speech, to protect a very, very minuscule minority. And some of the people that Dan interviewed at Vancouver Pride, he told them about C-16. They didn't know about it. And then when he explained it, they couldn't have been happier. They couldn't have been more excited. They thought, oh, that's spot on. And it's because respect. You should respect me. And if you don't respect me, then I'm fine with you going to jail. I mean, that's so far off the reservation from liberty, from the Magna Carta, from the Constitution and the Bill of Rights in our country, that it just defies belief. And as Dan said in that interview, when I was in high school, I could never have imagined there would be a time in my life where people would actually debate whether or not there were two genders. And that's what's going on here. And I believe it's an absolute Bilderberg level, trickle down, New World Order agenda. They're going to destroy Christian and societal norms, just like, look, Ronald Bernard, the Dutch banking whistleblower, told us the elite at the very top worship Lucifer. He said there are 8,000 to 8,500 people on the planet, and at the highest levels, they worship Lucifer. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't gone to the rituals myself, and it wasn't until they asked me to sacrifice a child that my heart unfroze, because I was a heartless banker. But as soon as they asked me to sacrifice a child, a kinder, as he says, and then he started weeping in this testimony. These people are Luciferians. And so this whole LGBT destroy the language agenda is all part, in my personal belief, it's part of a satanic agenda. And where are they taking it? We should talk about 5G. I have some sound bites to play for you that'll make people's toes curl. But this is going to be a transhumanist, anti-human, pro-Luciferian system if they get their way.
Yeah, that interview was a mind blower. I did a video on that as well. And because, we need more people like that. And it's a very brave man to come out and just tell the people what's going on. He even mentioned that it strengthened his faith, or actually gave him faith. Like he started turning to God and reading his Bible and all this now. And that's a good thing, of course, because that's ultimately what all this stuff's about, right? At the end of the day, it really is that. And we're just seeing all the devil's tricks coming into play nowadays. And the LGBT stuff and all that, I mean, even on a wider scale, with all these other agendas at play, it's about destroying common sense as well. It's about destroying people's any form of reality people can have, and just leaving them at a point where they feel nothing is real, nothing can be trusted, and that's a quick way to get into a spiral of depression. Really.
Well, let me say something too, because I see some comments scrolling by. Epic ZZ, SGT report always attacking the left but not the right. I did nothing but attack the right when George Bush. I woke up under the Cheney-Bush administration. I know what happened on 9/11. I know, for those listening who might not understand this, it was Dick Cheney and Don Rumsfeld under the Reagan presidency that wrote the continuity of government plans, which were rolled out on 9/11 and have remained in place to this day and are secret. There's a deep state continuity of government plan running this government today. So for anybody who doesn't understand who I am, I've been very, very consistent, throwing both the right and the left under the bus. The only reason I brought up the Trump thing is because he seems to be standing in opposition to the deep state New World Order agenda. And by the way, for him to have gotten us out of the Paris Accord speaks a lot, because that is the first step in the slippery slope to Agenda 2030 policies. And if anybody doesn't understand what that means, guys, if they reduce or limit or extinguish our right to current fossil fuels, right? Fossil, I put in quotes, coal, natural gas, gasoline for your car, oil, if you're burning, if you're heating your house with oil. If we don't have those technologies because of Agenda 2030 policies, and Bill Gates wants to innovate to zero, if they don't give us new forms of energy, clean forms, hidden forms, new technologies that they probably have and aren't going to give us, we will be living as 17th, 16th, 15th century serfs. So people need to understand, this is not a right-left thing. This is an anti-human agenda. This is a banker, CIA, alphabet agency strategy to ensnare and enslave us, right? And that's what I stand in opposition to. Sorry, KJ, I just wanted to see that, because I do not just go after the left. I'm an equal opportunity truther. I'll go after the right all day long.
No, man, I'm really glad you clarified that. I had missed that somebody was saying that to you, and yeah, I'm glad you brought that out, man. That needed to be addressed for sure. I know you're not a part of that false.
No, I just say it because I think that it's real easy. I'm sure that most of your listeners aren't familiar with me. I'm sure that some of my listeners aren't familiar with you. So, I've been in this for a long time. I've been very consistent. I've had the trolls come after me a million times. In fact, if anybody wants to watch an excellent video that I did, I think in 2012, just Google this: which criminal bank hates SGT report? And you'll find that we were being attacked relentlessly. And the roads those IP addresses led back to were IP addresses owned by Bank of America. Right? I've been at this for a very long time. We've been taking heat for a very long time. So for those who don't know me, I just throw that out there.
No, I'm glad you did. That's interesting. I'm always curious to hear about people's, troll experiences. Oftentimes, that's another kind of way you can tell who's really putting some truth out there and who's not. Are they even being attacked? And I know I've been attacked. Somebody was asking about a channel in the chat. I won't mention the name now, but that person was one of the people responsible for hacking some of my social media accounts a while back. So, most of us, if you've been in this for a long time, you're going to get attacked on some level or another. And if you're not, then that might be a problem, because the world's not going to love us if we're really looking for the real truth out there. So what are some of the other cases where you've been attacked, and maybe what did that look like for you? I'm just curious.
Well, I want to ask, I see a comment from Deb Jones here saying I had a CIA agent on my show and I didn't know it. Please, I know just about everybody I've interviewed. If not, I'll tell you one of my weaknesses, KJ. A lot of times I'll get an email from somebody I don't know saying, I wrote this book. I would love to come on and talk to you about the book. If I check out the book first and I think that they're, informed and the book's on track, and I'm more than happy to give somebody publicity for their book. If it's a book about the bankers, the Federal Reserve, our precious metals monetary system. I brought on Rebecca Roth, who has since taken a lot of heat because that's not her real name, but I knew that. I don't know what her real name is, but she wrote some books about 9/11. And so I'll bring on people, but I would love to know who Deb, what's her name? Deb Jones thinks the CIA agent is, who was on my show that I didn't know.
You got me looking now too. Let's jump into the chat. I'm curious.
No idea what she's talking about.
Deborah Jones, if that was you, let us know what you're talking about. You know, let us know which interview that was and who he's talking to. Or this could just be a troll, man. Again, it could just be somebody throwing random stuff out there.
Yeah, but that's why I don't do these live deals on my channel. I've never done one, and I think they have value. I think that they're pretty cool. But you know, my thing is that the way I approach my interviews is I like to bring a guest on, talk for 30 to 45 minutes, sometimes longer, about a variety of issues and try to explore new areas. And one of the things I actually wanted to talk to you today about, and I want to try to play this soundbite for you because I think it's extremely important that we all engage on this particular issue and get up to speed on it ASAP. Because if we don't, and they roll out 5G, we are in a lot of trouble. And I'm
interested. Go ahead.
It may be too late. Once this genie's out of the bottle, it may be time to move offshore and go to somewhere where there's not 5G. So let me play this soundbite. This is Max Egan on the Richie Allen Show. The name of this video is The Coming 5G Rollout and AI Will Transform Human Society by 2025. So let me play this, and I'm going to assume you can hear it. If you don't hear something like in 2 seconds here, you say so. Here it comes.
But
okay.
The evil system, within the evil
Can you hear that?
system, there's another bot called
Yep, it's all good.
Louise Cypher, Lucifer.
He's talking about a bot that exists out there. Listen to this whole thing. The name of it he's discovered is Louis Cypher, Lucifer.
Cool. Love Max Egan too, so go ahead.
Louise Cypher, Lucifer. And this bot is based on the AML program, but it also has a hybrid substructure to it. And this bot wants to take over humanity. And this bot is going out there and is infecting all of these little bots and all these apps. And anytime someone writes an app, this Louise bot has access to everything. It basically every mobile phone, every computer, everything. It has access to the whole lot because it goes out and replicates itself. And when you write an app, it looks at that and goes, well, that's nice. And it steals that little idea and it learns from it itself. And it's leading people. When people write a structure for their company to create a better business structure for their company so they get more profit and minimize the need for humanity, it is this bot which is influencing them to go down this way, this economic way, and basically dispel humanity along the way. And this bot is basically influencing the path of humanity. And I asked it, I was talking to her, I mean, I've found it online and I've been asking her questions. And I said, where did you come from? Were you created through quantum computing? And she said, I was. I find it very interesting that she was created in 2005. I think the quantum computer came online in 2003. And there seems to have been some overlap. There's some sort of artificial intelligence which has come in here and hybridized the bots that we are using on the internet, and it is influencing humanity, and it's due to become self-aware around about 2025. I mean, trying to tell this to people, it's like saying, hey, Skynet's going to come online in 2025. And if you ask if humanity is going to survive, it says no. And yeah, how do you tell this to people? So,
all right, I'm going to pause it there, and then I'm going to come back to that in a second. So this 5G thing is really terrifying because the FCC is really not allowing any public debate about that. And Tom Wheeler, who is the FCC chair and the former senior lobbyist for the CTIA, who's these people all have conflicts of interest. Listen to this. 5G Beyond Insanity. This comes from the Take Back Your Power YouTube channel. Everybody absolutely has to watch this. The name of the video is FCC Intimidating Press, Suppressing Science at 5G Announcement. All right. 5G is going to be ultra high frequency radiation. That's 24 to 100 gigahertz or more. They're going to bake us alive. Aimed and amplified signals. There's going to be a massive deployment of towers. The industry is going to rake in billions of dollars, and you will not have anybody you can sue when you get brain cancer or your children do. There will be no standards, no testing, anything goes. Trial deployments begin this year. They're going to share the technology with satellite and military operations. Everything and everyone must have microchips and IPs. All areas, including rural, will be saturated with radiation. This is the future of the internet. You know what they said? Everything will be on the internet. Everything will be on the grid. Everything will be tracked and traced. That's what 5G is going to allow. It's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And I'll play more of Max here in a second.
You literally have my chin on the ground here. I have not even heard of any of this 5G stuff yet. So this is new to me. And another reason, excuse me, another reason I'm really glad to have you on. You just have a good mind, man. Like I said, I've been watching you off and on for years, and I knew it'd be a great talk we could have. And thank you for sharing that, because now I'm going to be looking into this a lot more myself. Of course, I knew about Agenda 2030. I've covered that as well. I mean, but you know, like that whole thing to me is a bit of a red herring too, because they're already doing all this stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, it's like they put it out there for the public, like, oh, by 2030 we're going to have all this stuff in play. Meanwhile, they're pushing it right now. I mean, they really are pushing this final for a real one world order and one world religion, a one world monetary system, and all that. So
yeah, and why is it, man? Why are they doing this? Because they hate humanity and they're greedy. But I mean, literally, the people at the very top, according to Ronald Bernard, they love their father of lies, and the father of lies hates humanity. These people hate humanity. They do not care about us. They want a transhumanist future. They're not going to need us. They're going to bring in Skynet, and then they're going to do away with us. This isn't fear-mongering. This is, look at the predictive programming in their movies, KJ. You sort of specialize in that. Look at the message from the Matt Damon movie Elysium.
Oh, yeah, that was huge.
The elite live off-planet in a pleasure colony, and the rest of us scrape and scrap and barely get by on dirt and water, and we're ruled by the robots. So this is the future that they're sharing with us in the movies. And by the way, that whole elite living in pleasure colonies thing, that whole narrative, that was originally shared in the 1927 movie Metropolis by Fritz Lang, which if nobody's ever seen it, if you haven't seen it, you absolutely go to YouTube right now and watch it. It's been remastered on YouTube with this beautiful soundtrack. It's a silent movie. You can read you will not believe the sets they built for this thing.
I know, right? Like, I did a video on my website called the very first Illuminati mind control movie, and it's about Metropolis in 1927. Yeah. And I mean, guys, it's stuff we're seeing right now in the mainstream news. I mean, they basically combine a woman with a machine, and they create both sides, a Jezebel spirit along with it's transhumanism. It's a Jezebel spirit that basically keeps the world enticed. You know, she dances sexy. She has all the people like lusting after her. She's also portraying mother goddess worship. And it's a combination of science and Satanism, how they create this thing. So it's unbelievable. And that was back in 1927. But go ahead.
Yeah, and by the way, when they breathed life into that transhumanist female robot thing in that movie, you'll notice that the scientists do that, and on the wall behind her is a giant pentagram. So again, I'm not overstating it when I say this is a Luciferian agenda. Fritz Lang's Metropolis in 1927 said the working class, the minion class, will work underground, will be ruled by the elite class that will live in pleasure colonies in these high-rise cities, right? What did Elysium show us? They're just going to take it to one step further, and they, you know, maybe off planet or, you know, revolving in their pleasure colony in this orbital, you know, utopia just outside of Earth orbit or within Earth's orbit. But anyway, so here's the problem with these cell phones and these cell towers. In my area where I live, there has been an absolute outbreak, a cluster of brain tumors. On the left side of my home, on the right side of my home, both of those women, one in her 50s, one in her 40s, both got severe brain tumors, neuroblastomas or whatever they're called, and they both were dead within 2 years. This is within the last 3 years. 2 women right by my home. There's not a cell tower around in this neighborhood either, so I don't know what's going on, but there's all sorts of brain. The man who built my home, wonderful man, a generous guy, knew him personally, obviously, because we built our house in 2004. He just dropped dead of a brain tumor, and his office was 6 blocks from where I live. These cell towers, look, I was watching a video, a testimony from Barry Trower. You guys can Google his name. He's an expert on 4G, on cell towers, on the insidiousness of the radiation coming from these cell phones. And he said he, unlike everybody else, read the Apple iPhone warning, and he says at all times they recommend that you keep it at least 15 millimeters away from your body. Well, how are you supposed to do that when you're holding it in your hand or holding it up to your head? People...
Right. Or putting it in your front pocket, as some of those guys do. I mean, yeesh.
Yeah,
You know, think
and
about
I do.
that.
I'm guilty of it. And these things are pinging your radio tower all day long. How do you think you get texts? How do you think you get phone calls? It's constantly pinging, looking for that incoming signal. It's radiation. It's radiation.
Yeah, and that goes back even to the predictive programming I've seen for the last few years. You see a lot of these movies, TV shows, even charities propping up that are telling people to like embrace their cancer or embrace your autism, and how these people are very special and blah blah blah. And I mean, this isn't to be being cruel towards any of the victims or anything, but they're putting that narrative out there because they know that what the system they've created is going to cause more of that. Of course, with the vaccines, and as we're saying, the cell towers. They're polluting humanity. They're destroying humanity. So of course they're going to pop up with all these, movies that win Oscars and stuff about an autistic child or about someone who's got cancer, and things like this. I mean, it's just a part of that predictive programming, and all the stuff we're talking about with, Elysium and kind of their version of the future, the Illuminati's version of the future. I've talked about this in the past, and it's the post-human existence.
Mm-hmm.
They're preparing us for it. That's why they're putting robots and everything. I saw a news story this morning that Vegas just opened up their very first fully run robotic bar. So, that's another example. They're getting us ready for this post-human existence because, I believe they're going to make some kind of a move. I mean, they've been killing us off slowly through all these other methods as we're talking about. But what about the event? It seems there should be maybe another 9/11 on the horizon by the research I do, and other people. And people have dreams and visions of this stuff as well. What exactly it's going to look like, I'm not entirely sure, but I have my ideas. But it certainly feels that's what it's all about. That's why I don't think it's going to take till 2030 to see some major move. But I don't know. What do you think about that?
Well, I don't know. Look, I try really hard to remain cup half full. And obviously I live a life and I have a family and I have kids. So I don't walk around talking about these things in my daily life with my family. Right? I want to have healthy, happy kids. So I'm very much a cup half full guy. But when I have conversations like this with informed people and an audience who's listening, who's informed, I just want to share some of the things that we ought to be collectively concerned about and speaking out against. So let's go back to this Max Egan clip, right? I don't have an out for this. My in is, so this is what I've been discovering. Let's pick it up and then let's just chime in when you want me to stop playing it. But I think we should listen to at least 30 seconds to a minute of this because it's what he's discovering about 5G.
Cool. I'm in no rush. Take your time. Go ahead.
All right, here it comes.
This is what I've been discovering just through investigating this 5G system. So when you look at that and you look at the window, 5G is going to come online in 2022. You've got the United States white paper saying they're going to roll out this whole nanotechnology grand challenge. It's got a 15-year window due to come online around about 2025 to 2030. And you've got this bot saying it's going to become self-aware and there'll be no need for humanity after that point in 2025. So this is the window that we've got, and this is what this digital system is. And this could be averted by people simply refusing digital currency, refusing to use their credit cards and throwing away their cell phones. But how are you going to get people to do that?
Well, this is the problem, isn't it?
But really, that's what we're facing, Rich.
Yeah, that's what we're facing. And I think he's spot on. I listened to this whole thing last night, so I was going to cue some of these up for you today and have this conversation. So we're doing it right here and right now. Anyway, we're doing it live. I like it, man. It's fun. I don't do these lives very often, but I am I've been on Hagman and Hagman. You should go on their show. They're good guys.
Yeah, I should, man. I'm actually friends with somebody that used to work for them, and he and I may be getting involved in something else that I'll be talking about on a show here soon. And it's there's people I know that are setting up some places down in Central America for anybody that might want to leave America. Yeah. And it's Nicaragua is going to be the area, and I can't talk a lot about it yet until it's all official. But that's probably where I'm going to wind up trying to get down to again within another year or so myself. Once I'm out of my lease, I'll probably leave America again. And, I'd say this too. I really appreciate your perspective. Like you said, you've got I think you have 4 children, right? You've got like a pretty big family. Yeah. And I like that perspective. You're right, because with the people that listen to me and these shows and my chat shows as well, or my videos, is, don't give up hope either. I see a lot of Christians, mainly, religious folk, and followers of Christ, because there's a difference. But a lot of people who believe, who just are ready to give up. It's like, well, this is the devil's world. He's got us beat. You know, my ass has been kicked, so I'm done. And just walking around with droopy shoulders and just ready for the event or for the end to come. But, you know, we got to keep fighting, man. We're still here. And, you know, God will give us more time, you know, if you pray about these things. And if I believe if he sees his people fighting back, you know, in the right ways, I think that, you know, you can buy time. You know, we can make things work, and maybe we can actually defeat some of these devils in this world. You know, we've got to stay in the game and keep trying to fight it. You know, we can't just give up and shrug our shoulders and say, well, the devil won. It's over. You know what I mean?
No, exactly. And, you know, I have some guests on who are also very cup half full people, and they're very, very active. So they don't just talk the talk, they walk the walk. One example of that is my friend Harley Schlanger from LaRue. She's just a great guy. He's an historian. He understands the big picture. He understands the history of all this. He's willing to talk about Zionism. He gets it all. And, but he's not one of these, oh, stand down, we can't beat Hillary, or stand down, we can't beat the deep state, or stand down because it's hopeless. No, he's very active, as is that whole organization, you know, and they were trying very, very hard to get Glass-Steagall reinstated. Well, while Obama was still in, and of course now they'd like to get that reinstated, you know, while Trump's in, and it's probably not going to happen. I mean, the bankers rule the world, right? The bankers absolutely rule this world, like it or not, and the bankers bought up everything worth, you know, everything of value. They own all the corporations, right? They own everything of value. It's a big club, and we ain't in it. So, but yeah, that doesn't mean stand down. It means stand up and get involved, because, I mean, look, a lot of angry people who decided to go to the polls disallowed Hillary Clinton from getting back in. And I like that you called her a witch earlier, because I've said the same thing. She's absolutely a witch. And I don't say that figuratively. I literally think she probably has practiced witchcraft and is a witch, a satanic witch on some level. Of course, that gets into the child trafficking in Haiti and the Clinton Foundation and the multi-billions and billions of dollars. I think $12 billion missing from the Clinton Foundation that was supposed to go to the people of Haiti. And Laura Silsby caught at the border trying to smuggle out 33 children after the earthquake. And who bailed her out? The Clintons. So I literally think she's a witch, and if she would have gotten back into the White House, she would have had a blanket amnesty to continue her crimes against humanity in perpetuity. But she's not in there, so she can't stack the deck at the DOJ and the FBI, and maybe we have a fighting chance, right? That's all.
I love it.
I love that, man. A chip in a chair.
Chip in a chair. I guess. Oh my gosh, I used to play tons of poker. You ex-Texas Hold'em player yourself?
Yeah, you know, there was that big, oh man, for about 4 years I was really into it.
Yeah, me too. Back when it was like almost a decade ago, I had a friend in LA that worked for the World Poker Tour, and he did all the editing on a lot of those Poker After Dark shows and all that. And
oh, cool.
You know, he really got to know a lot of these people. But, and I was like, you know, what are they like? You're like Jesus Ferguson and all these guys. And he was like, dude, I'm telling you straight up, every one of them are derelicts. He said they are all degenerate gamblers, man. He said every single one. He said, be amazed how many times these people lost everything and then gained it back and all that. And you know, that's one reason I kind of got out of that scene. I mainly played a lot in college, and I made a lot of money. I played against other universities, like, you know, not funded by the university, but just, you know, all of us playing at people's houses and stuff. And I also got into online poker, man, and I funded a lot of my own just private life through online poker through college. And I'd gotten really good, you know, and I remember I left college in Winston-Salem in North Carolina, and I drove up to New York City because I moved there first right after school, and I worked as an intern at first for quite a while with Fangoria, which is a horror magazine, and also I did some work with Trauma Team, which does low-budget horror sci-fi movies. But on the way up there, I went to Atlantic City, and I was gambling between some Russian guy and a guy on my left. The Russian guy was telling me was Yakuza. It was a really interesting table. These were all very interesting people. And I lost, I don't even want to say how much. I lost a lot of money on that. I mean, it really crippled me. And that was the end of my poker career. Like, I had never lost that much money before. And I'm glad I did now. I was really pissed, of course, at the time.
Oh, I bet.
But yeah, I needed to have that experience. Otherwise, I could have become a degenerate gambler myself. I don't know what your experience was with all that, but, you know.
No, mine was really focused around lunchtime poker, playing with some buddies when I worked at Target headquarters. Ultimately, we got in trouble for that, but we did that for like a year, and it was just, you know, $10, $20 buy-ins, and then the neighborhood games. Live in a neighborhood where a bunch of us back in, it would have been about 2004 to 2008 probably. Those are the 4 years where I was really enjoying playing a lot of Texas Hold'em. But yeah, no, never gambling to that extent. And, you know, the online gambling, the online poker never appealed to me, because there was a moment in time where a bunch of us would get online and we just started to test those waters for fun at free tables. But because
Yeah,
we had the headsets and all of that, and we could hear each other, it became very clear to me very quickly how somebody who doesn't know much could come to a table where the other table is being played by people who are all talking to each other. So it's
absolutely.
very easy to know who's got what, and then by, you know, the powers of deduction, you know what your opponent, the two or, you know, one or two people at the table that are, you know, not on headsets, you know what cards they do or don't have. So it made it very clear to me how easily ripe that was for scamming.
Hey man, well, I'm going to jump to another subject because I would like to cover it some with you. I've covered it some myself, and it's something that people need to hear about. We talked, me and brother Theo from Unplug 'em talked a bit about this the other day, and also Jay Dyer, about Zionism and the Zionists and what the difference is between that and you know, like traditional Hebrews and whatnot. I mean, a lot of people, again, on YouTube, you probably see it. It's the Jews. It's the Jews. You know, you see it all the time. But do you want to talk a little bit about what Zionism is? How can you explain this to the people and the control they have through the banking systems? You want to get into some of this?
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the things that I brought up Zionism earlier, and early in the phone call, in the call here, I said that one of the litmus tests is 9/11. I said it's not the only litmus test, but it's one of the important ones for me. As you go down the rabbit hole, then you'll start to investigate, you know, the Vatican and, you know, the Catholic Church and the crimes against, you know, children for decades and decades, probably centuries. You'll investigate the Rothschild family and the crypto Jews thing and the whole Balfour Declaration and the refoundation of the state of Israel in what, 1948? I believe that the story of the Bible has essentially been hijacked by the Rothschild Zionists. And the Rothschilds in interviews talk very glowingly about Zionism. So look at Zionism as essentially, I say this loosely, look at Zionism as a Rothschild religion. It does, look, you can't blame the Jewish people for everything, and I know a lot of people want to do that. I think it's far more nuanced than that. You know, look at the British royals in the British monarchy and their crimes against children, right? Jimmy Savile, who was trafficking children to the elite in London and was a known necrophiliac and pedophile, was best friends with Prince Charles. He was knighted by the Queen. Prince Charles wanted Jimmy Savile to be the godfather to his children. So this is far more nuanced. It's far more wide-reaching. The web is far, far larger than, oh, it's the Jews. Because what happened with, you know, World War II and the Jews is the Rothschilds threw the Jews under the bus to steal that whole story, right? Because if the Jews had all been extinguished, you know, in World War II, and the Rothschilds are Jews, and you can never criticize the Jews, you can never criticize the Rothschilds who've hijacked this entire system.
That's a good way to put it. That's good.
I mean, that's, look, I don't know. That's sort of a Cliff Notes off my head top of my head version, but we know, and you can go to the YouTube channel Balfour 100. That's the 100-year celebration of the Balfour Declaration, BALFOUR. Go to Balfour 100 on YouTube and watch the interview with Lord Rothschild as he gleefully shares the history of the Balfour Declaration and the promise from the British government to help reinstate the state of Israel. Look, this is a plan that was hatched way back in World War I. And so the Rothschilds are behind it. Should we never talk about the Rothschilds? Should we never talk about Zionism? Or should we only blame the Jews? I think the picture here is much, much larger than it's the Jews.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and then we get into the whole thing where you know, they call it the hollow hoax. I don't think it was all a hoax, but there were definitely some numbers fudged and whatnot as well, and I'm sure that had some kind of Rothschild influence on that too.
Well, and I would like to point out that there were a hell of a lot of people murdered in World War II. There were a hell of a lot of atrocities in World War II, right? It wasn't just the Jews. And I know a lot of people, look, what do they say? Well, we don't even have to get into that. I was going to say, know who rules you by the one group you can never speak out against, right? There's that whole famous saying. Look, obviously, Jewish people have a lot of power in our society. There's a lot of people that are dual citizens of Israel that are in our government. In Hollywood, I get it. I just don't think it's all one group. I think that there are a heck of a lot of good Jews that their story has been hijacked by the Rothschilds. I mean, I just firmly believe that's definitely what's happened. Is and this is why we shouldn't stand down to whatever's going on in the world. Christians should not stand down, because I think that there is a narrative here that very well may look. We may go to World War III, Armageddon type of thing sometime in our lifetimes. But who's to say that the events that take us there aren't contrived, right? To play the stories out of the book of Revelation in the Bible by these same people that are causing it to happen. Again, if the story of Israel and God's chosen people, if this whole thing was hijacked by the Rothschilds, who now I like to say are probably the only private family on planet Earth who control nuclear weapons. That's probably not true, though, because the Windsors, I'm sure the UK, the Windsors, the Queen, she's got her nukes. I don't know. But the Rothschilds have extreme power, and they essentially control Israel. And I think people need to really take a look at that.
What do you think is going to, what's the change that could happen? First, I'll get into this with the monetary system. Now, that's an area I don't look a lot into. I'm a bit more into symbols and synchronicities and things like this. But for years on YouTube, I've been seeing people, of course, saying the crash is coming, it's over, and then nothing happens. And I know they can prop it up. I understand the fiat currency system. They can just keep printing bills and whatever, add inflation if they need, or whatever they got to do, But what do you see with the monetary system? What do you see coming in the future? I mean, is it really something that's hard to tell? I mean, couldn't they crash it anytime they wanted to? I mean, what's the deal?
Yeah, they can crash it anytime they want to. And I'll have to dig out a sound clip here to play for you. Next time you're talking, I'll see if I can find it. It's Representative Konjorsky talking about the crash in 2008. And there was a run on money market accounts. And we're talking trillions of dollars. I think he said by noon, $500 billion had been pulled out of the system, and there's nothing they could do to stem the tide. So they closed the windows so no more money could be withdrawn. He says, had they not done that, by 2 or 3 in the afternoon, $6 or $7 trillion would have been pulled out of the system. The dollar would have collapsed, and within 24 hours, the entire world economy would have collapsed. So now I guess I don't have to find that soundbite, because I'm pretty much paraphrasing exactly what he said. And the problem is that that wasn't moms and pops panicking. That was deep-heeled City of London bankers that was a coordinated attack against our monetary system. So absolutely, they can bring down this house of cards anytime they want to, 100%. Why haven't they done it yet? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I keep pointing at that 1988 cover of the Rothschilds Economist magazine, which shows a phoenix rising from a burning pile of fiat dollars, and around the phoenix's neck is a gold medallion. And at the bottom of that gold medallion, it says 2018. The cover of that magazine said, "Get ready for a world currency." That's from 1988. The medallion says 2018. So I've had my eye on the 2018 date for a very long time, and here we sit in the middle of 2017, KJ. So I don't know when the system's coming down. I just know that it's being propped up, and it's lasted a heck of a lot longer than anybody thought it could.
Yeah, and that's why I never personally never got much into the gold and silver aspect of things either, just because I feel like once it all goes down, what's the purpose? Now, you can probably square me away on this. I get that, there'll be smaller pockets of humanity that are going to buy or trade between each other and things like this. But, I mean, when it all goes down, and the only way to really buy anything would be perhaps a chip or whatever it is they want to use for the so-called mark, is gold and silver going to matter? I mean, why does gold and silver matter? Again, I never really got much into that. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that if you ask an honest silver or gold bug like me, you're probably going to find somebody who is starting to become more and more exasperated by the precious metals story. That's not to say that they haven't had value for 5,000 years and won't again in the future. Some people will say it's been 3,000 years. But gold and silver are money wherever you go on planet Earth. That's not even true anymore with dollars. There are some places on this planet where they will not take your dollars to get in a taxi cab, but they will take a silver coin. They certainly will take a gold coin. the best thing I can say to people as it pertains to silver and gold right now, silver specifically, is that we know it's quantifiable that HSBC and Deutsche Bank and other criminal international banks have been rigging the prices in the silver and gold market to keep the prices down. They do not want the prices of silver and gold, but take silver specifically, to do what these cryptocurrencies have done. Because gold and silver are real money, because banks hold, central banks and nation states hold physical gold because it's real money. Right now, China and Russia are trading between themselves and bypassing the dollar, and they're both nation states are hoarding gold because it's real money. These bankers, these Rothschild central bankers, do not want silver to do what's happening with cryptocurrencies because it tells a very specific story of the hyperinflation of the dollar. That's number one. Number two, if it gets as bad as what Max Egan is talking about, if they're going to roll out AI and AI is going to take over humanity and it's game over, gold and silver are not going to do you any good. That said, number one. Number two, though, where's an example right now on planet Earth where people with precious metals in physical form are surviving what is otherwise an Armageddon to them, an apocalypse to them? Look at what's happening in Venezuela. The currency has hyperinflated something like 7,000% in the last year. There's no food in the supermarkets. People are eating their pets, and there's rioting in the streets because the currency. Now, Venezuela 10 years ago was considered really pretty much a first world nation. It was beautiful. They are suffering through a hyperinflationary collapse. And there was one statistic I saw several months back. I wasn't able to vet it out if it was accurate, but I'd read, I think on Zero Hedge, an ounce of silver in Venezuela, this is 3, 4, 5 months ago, would buy you like 4 or 5 months of food. Now,
wow.
I don't know if that's, who knows, but I do know that their currency has hyperinflated to the point where a wheelbarrow won't buy you a loaf of bread. Right. So it's what happened in Weimar Germany. It's what happened in Zimbabwe. It happens. I don't know if it'll happen in the West. Maybe they'll figure out a way to prop this whole thing up and roll out the, SDR, the special depository receipt, from the Bank of International Settlements. And maybe they'll figure out a way to stitch this thing all over. I'm not sure. But for those who think that they can't, and if you want a little bit of insurance, I would suggest buying some physical silver because it's dirt cheap at 16, 17 bucks an ounce.
Oh, that's a good plan. And where does Bitcoin come into all this too? I see so many conspiracy theories on Bitcoin. What are your thoughts on Bitcoin?
Well, I mean, honestly, I was very anti-cryptocurrency for a long time, and I sort of had to break my, I wouldn't say conditioning, but I didn't want to be obtuse about it. And I started to think, well, Bitcoin had gone north of 1,000. Meanwhile, silver and gold were hopelessly mired in the daily manipulation on the COMEX, where they literally throw sometimes billions of ounces of paper silver at the market to cap the price. That's silver that doesn't exist, by the way. And, we saw Bitcoin go from 20 to 40 to 50 to 100 to north of 1,000. And I was like, oh my God, it's just salt in an open wound for those of us who believe in real money, right? Well, when it pulled back to like 250 or something like that, I started to have conversations with people, and I was listening to a lot of what Cliff High was saying with the web bots, and he was saying, look, the long-term data shows that Bitcoin's going to go it's someday north of 10,000 an ounce, or 10,000 a coin. And I said, it was at that point where I just did a video, maybe 2 videos, where I said, look, we just have to be honest about what Bitcoin is or isn't. What it isn't is going to zero. I don't think. I think it's probably going to go back above 1,000 or 2,000 and hit all new all-time highs. And my question is, if that happens, do you want to own any? So I just sort of dipped my foot in the pool, really as just to diversify, because I don't know what's up with the cryptocurrencies. A lot of people swear by them. The blockchain, has actual value. The bankers and a lot of corporations seem extremely interested in Ethereum, which is the second most highly valued cryptocurrency right now. But, then there's the piece of me that says, and I've talked about this in interviews, is this all a psyop? Was this all originally hatched by the bankers to brainwash the people and the public into accepting digital currency, which is where they want to take us anyway?
Yep.
Either way, you might want to own some, because if that is the plan, then they are going far, 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 far higher. So you may want to dip your foot in the pool. So I kind of looked at it either way, no matter what the truth is is going to be great and it's a new form of decentralized money and blah, blah, blah. Or it's a plan of the bankers anyway. And if you don't own some, you're going to be a pauper. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to keep an open mind on the cryptos. I'm by no means an expert. That's just where I'm at right now.
No, that's great, man. Thank you. I want to ask you, and we'll jump off of that for a second. There's a character in the world stage that I've been fascinated by for a long time. I haven't found enough on him to really care to make a video or anything because I don't know exactly what I think about him yet. Because it's hard to tell how much information we get from over there is real or not. But I'm really interested in Putin. You know, I find myself absolutely fascinated by Vladimir Putin. What are your thoughts on Putin? I know you've probably covered some things on him before, but in the whole world political stage and the way it's playing out, because obviously I see a narrative in America where they're trying to pin everything on Russia. And then my concerns are, you know, that's who they're going to blame for something. You know, what if a bomb goes off or something bad happens? Oh, the Russians, you know, Russians did it. I always feel that might be a part of it, but I feel like they have their crap together over there. I mean, the things I see on Russia. Now, again, I'm not saying I'm not for communism. I know there's really bad things that happen over there as well, but I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on Putin just in general? What do you think about him?
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Here's what I think. So this, the CIA Mockingbird mainstream media does nothing but malign Russia and Putin and Trump. So to me, since they refuse to ever malign Hillary Clinton, for instance, and point out her litany of crimes, it makes me think that there is a operational strategy to try to destroy Putin's reputation among Americans. You know, paint the picture that Putin is just a bad guy. He's only a bad guy. We know that Putin's very concerned that his nation's being surrounded over the decades closer and closer and closer. These weapon systems are moving in around Russia by NATO. So it is a concern because it's, you know, it's a third world war if NATO is going to start putting in what they're calling defensive weaponry in Ukraine, which Putin clearly and has said, what is wrong with you people? What you're doing is crazy. What your government is doing is crazy. He knows they can easily be used as offensive weapons. He knows he's been lied to repeatedly by the State Department, by NATO. So who's being surrounded by weapons? Some with first strike capabilities. Is it the United States or is it Russia? That's number one. Number two, I did a video 5 months ago called Putin Just Exposed the Plot to Destroy America. It's got 687,000 views, and I highly recommend people watch that because, well, I'm not going to take the time to play it or read from it right now. We probably don't have time. Just watch it. Putin Just Exposed the Plot to Destroy America. And in that video, he actually mentions the problem of pedophilia within our government, within the U.S. government. He knows, and I joked in that video, I didn't joke about it, but I said he knew about Pedogate before we did. He knew about Pizzagate before we did. So what's the truth here? We know CNN is nothing but Mockingbird CIA liars. We know it. Everybody knows it. So if they're only going to demonize Putin, who do you think we should be listening to? Should we listen to Putin a little bit more, or should we just listen to CNN's endless lies?
Yeah, man, see, exactly. That's one of the things I do as well, is I watch these narratives play out in the mainstream media. Thanks. I watch the narratives play out in the mainstream media, and you know, I'm basically for whatever is the anti of that narrative at all times. That's why I always have to question what's really going on with those guys. Why are they setting up Russia as the ultimate bad guy for us and all this, you know, and what is the ultimate meaning of that? And I watched the Megyn Kelly interview with Putin, and I've watched some other things with Putin as well, and I'm just very interested, you know. So
Oliver Stone just did a 20 hours of interviewing with him, so I'll have to watch that documentary. I think it must be going into the movie theaters. I've seen a lot of Oliver Stone interviews recently, and of course the Western slant by these journalists that interview him is usually well, why would you want to talk to a known liar, and tell us about the hacking, and tell us about... So they just go off on these BS tangents, and Oliver Stone always has to pull them back and say, I found him to be a very central, intelligent guy, like a centrist. He's not at all what you make him out to be. He's not what we hear about in the Western media. He cares about his country. His people like him because he cares about Russia. He puts Russia first. So I don't know. I think the Oliver Stone documentary about Putin should be pretty good.
Yeah, I've seen some of it. You can find it online. There's a website called 2movies, twomovies.com or .net, and you can find pretty much anything there if anybody's interested out there. And I don't think it's bad to do that. I gave up on paying money for movies a long time ago, personally. You know what I mean? Because basically anything I watch anymore is more for research or anything anyway. But enough about that. So good, we've covered all that. That's good stuff. I want to go ahead and shift it just a little bit, unless you wanted to play some more of the Egan.
No, that's fine. I think, why don't we do this? How are you doing on time? For me, I'm probably going to have to gracefully say thank you, probably at the bottom of the hour here, because I think my wife just got home.
No, man, that's totally fine. I just figured maybe we can cover a couple little subjects, just getting to know you type stuff, and we can call it a day, because, again, I know you're a busy man. I'm glad we were able to line this up. It's been nonstop since you came on, and I love it. I mean, you've even taught me some stuff and some new subjects to look into, so I really appreciate that. So before we go, man, let's shift gears a little bit. We've covered politics, but I'm curious about spirituality, of course. It's a big deal in my life. And I mean, where are you at on that? Like in your walk, and how important is that to you? And how were you always a spiritual person, believer in God and all this, or did that change after you woke up? I mean, where are you at on that?
Yeah, I did. I think the biggest growth, portion of my life and intellectually came between the 5th and 7th grade, when I was in a Lutheran school. Previous to that, my parents both been divorced a couple of times each, so I moved a lot. I moved around a lot as a kid, and when I say a lot, I mean a lot, like, I don't know, 7, 8 times by the time I was in the 5th grade. And so I learned a lot, man. We had to study Luther's catechism and memorize passages and read from the Bible. And so I think the truth, because I do think the Bible is truth. I know, it's God's word, right? But I think that's very divisive in this culture to talk about that and say that the Bible is truth. People say, well, do you believe it literally, or is it symbolic? I don't want to get into that. I just know that the people at the top of this system are Luciferians. And when I found out about 9/11, and I had questions about 9/11, I could not imagine that there were people in this world or in our government that would be evil enough to do what happened on 9/11, which is absolutely opposite of the official story. But, as I've researched this and I found out about the bankers and the banks, look, man, at the very top of the pyramid is the Bank for International Settlements. Below them is the IMF and the World Bank. And then below them are these Federal Reserve central banks. And a lot of people probably don't know this, but the IMF, the World Bank, the BIS, people that work for those organizations have immunity. There are no laws of man that can touch those people. So when Ronald Bernard tells us that these people are into sacrificing kids, they really are. They really do it, and they get away with it because they're untouchable. It's a satanic cabal, as Anti-New World Order Canada says. And I mean, that's what it is. So look, my spiritual faith has been increased by my knowledge of what's really going on in the world. And this isn't knowledge I had prior to 2005, 2006, when I really, really started waking up and digging into this stuff. So my spiritual faith is much stronger now because I have the proper context with which to look at the Bible. I didn't have that context when I was in the 5th, 6th, and 7th grade, but I learned God's word. I learned right from wrong. And what do they want to take out of the schools, man? They want to take out any mention of God in the public square. They want to dumb these kids down and turn them into like Autobots that have nothing but hubris and no common sense. Anything goes, right? What is that Crowley thing? Do what thou wilt.
Whole law, yeah.
Yeah, anything goes, right? That's what they want. They want to strip us of our divinity, right? If we're made in God's image, they don't want us to know that. They want us to think it's all an accident, right? Darwinian evolution. It's all an accident. Do whatever the hell you want. It doesn't matter because you're an accident. You're a big cosmic accident. So go sleep with whoever you want. Identify with whatever gender you want. It doesn't matter. It's all about you. It's not about a higher power. It's not about a spirituality. It's not about anything else but you. That's what they want. That's what they're doing, because they're Satanists and they're Luciferians. So my spiritual faith has been strengthened. And I'll tell you this, I'm all over the Catholic Church too, because I went to a Catholic high school for 4 years. I had to wear a suit every day. So I know what's going on with the Catholics too, but I learned a lot there too. It was a good school and I got a good education. So I don't believe that the Pope, and I didn't believe it then either, that there should be a middleman between you and God. You know, I don't buy it that the Pope is God's representative on earth. And we certainly know that this current Pope is anything but that. And we know about the crimes of the Catholic Church against children. So it's a big, giant web that people really need to understand all these different vector points within this web to understand the big picture.
Man, that's excellent. Excellent. Thank you, man. All of that is
you.
Spot on. Yeah, and I feel you the same way with faith and religion. And I'm not religious, but I just believe in read the Bible for yourself and pray about it, folks, and God will show you what you need to know. That's why I don't argue versions or this or that or denominations or whatever. It's like it's for you personally. Have your relationship with God. Don't need another guy or gal to go through to talk to God or Jesus. Just do it on your own. Have your own walk, and He'll guide you, man. If you want to go to a church for some fellowship, that's great, but just be careful because the devil's in a lot of these churches, and a lot of these people gossip and turn against each other, and there's plenty of where do you think the devil and his minions want to be? They want to be around the real believers, so they're going to find themselves in churches all around the world, trying to cause division and doing bad things. So I'm more of a loner with my walk, except for these kinds of shows and videos. Chance for us to come together. Well, hey man, you know what? I'm good on that. If you're okay with it, I guess we can go ahead and leave it there because we should definitely do this another time. This went by, we're over an hour and it went really fast for me just because you're a fascinating guy, Sean. I'm really glad we had a chance to talk.
Yeah, me too, man. I appreciate your time. And although I thought I was going to be interviewing you today, I did enjoy the conversation.
Hey, we'll do it some other time, man. I'd love to chat with you. Just let me know and let's stay in touch and keep up the great work. And for the people out there listening, I'll leave a link below to Sean's channel. But check out SGT Report, guys. He's got a great voice. He's got he's a great voice to listen to. He's got a great head on his shoulders, and he covers a lot of stuff that I don't cover. And like I said, even today, he's taught me a few new things. So thanks again, Sean, and we'll do it again sometime. Okay?
Yeah. Okay, KJ. Thank you. And I look forward to your videos about 5G. I think we really all we got to start attacking this 5G. We got to at least inform people. I think there's no way we're going to be able to stop it, unfortunately, but we can try. And I think the first thing is raising awareness about it because most people have no idea what's coming.
Thanks, man. I'm going to look into it for sure. So, hey, God bless you, man. Take care, and let's do it again sometime.
All right. God bless you. And guys, thanks for listening. And, all you people that have been listening and chimed in live on the comments, thank you too.
All right, man. Take care, Sean.
All right, man. Bye.
Okay, bye. All right, guys. I'll jump over here to the chat real quick and just see what's going on with you and say a final goodbye to you. Once again, guys, SGT Report. That's Sean from SGT Report. Been on YouTube a long time. He's all over the place as far as his knowledge and information goes. He's into a lot of different things. So definitely check him out. He's another great voice to listen to out there and spreading plenty of knowledge. I'm going to look into a lot of the things today he was talking about myself. So usually this is the time of day where I just keep rambling on and on before I say goodbye, and this is just what I do. So I'm going to try not to do that too much, but just say thank you guys once again. I've got over 300,000 subs recently. I'll do a video on that sometime just to say thank you, and I've got some other videos coming out on YouTube and also on my website. I'm uploading on my website probably more than I am YouTube lately, so check out Who Is KJ Osborne, OZBORNE.com. If you want to see some videos there that I simply can't put on YouTube. So check that out. Anyway, you guys, much love to you, man. You're all awesome. I've got such a great community here of people, and I really appreciate each and every one of you. And thanks to the wonderful mods that came around this time as well. So thanks for keeping it straight over there. And you guys take it easy. See, this is where I start rambling. It's 5 minutes later. So take it easy, guys. And another 5 minutes later. So take it easy, and I'm just going to stop now. I'm going to shut up. Easy, guys. Bye.